Server 17 once again. This is my final section in the Dark Souls 3 network test, and I'm playing as the final class, and I'm going to be showing you some of the moves that this guy's got. And this guy turned out to be my favourite PvP build because of the opportunities to space with him. And if you're unfamiliar with the term spacing, I think it originates from fighting games, although I could be wrong, I haven't looked it up. But it is the concept of controlling space and understanding space when you are engaging an enemy. So knowing where to attack, where your weapon will reach, and knowing how to use space effectively to catch your opponent coming in or recovering off of something. And the good thing with this particular build is the spells of it in the left hand force people to rush you down, to come close. And the moment they start coming close, you can use the spear to force them to back away. And it's this awesome juxtaposition of two elements that cover both grounds. And I had a lot of fun at casting spells against other players just for the purpose of them coming close, so then I could just quickly do a great soul sword or hit them a few times with my spear before they could do anything. Because a lot of the times when somebody starts shooting magic at you, people will panic, and they will panic thinking that they need to punish it, because it's one of those mentalities that you see magic and you know it can hit you from any range, so if I get close I'm at an advantage. And if you're up against an experienced player, they might just roll through it, they might just bide the time, they might start throwing things at you or something like that. All depends on who you're up against. And 10 to 1, if you were in this beta, you probably came up against a mixture of people who were experienced and a mixture of people who weren't. So it was fun to experiment with. But as far as PvE goes with this particular guy, I didn't really find it to be, you know, anything all that new or exciting, because the spells that we have access to aren't really the spells that I generally use. However, I really like the spear in this game. I've never been a spear guy. I used the lightning spear in Dark Souls 1 because I think everybody did when you first beat it, because it was so powerful to get so early. But this is essentially the same spear that you can pick up very early in Dark Souls. I think you can buy it off the Undead Merchant, and it's a really, really cool weapon, because they seem to have sped up how quick it works, because the game itself is faster. So it really feels like the spear is a legitimately interesting weapon now. And I mean, maybe to you it always has been, but to me it was always kind of an area of the weapons that were lacking, because I didn't think they were very interesting. But this one, I really liked it. The buckler is a buckler, you know, it does the buckler job. It's neither here or there. It's kind of just as it's always been. I'm sure we'll see Martyr's Brigade using it because it's one of his favourite shields. It's one of the ones he used the most anyhow. It has, of course, the quickest parry in the game. Some would argue it has the easiest because it's a couple of charity frames added on. But I think the parrying was also very comparable between every single one. I just think the animation for the buckler made it seem like it was better, because it kind of didn't look like you'd even landed it right, and you still got the parries a lot of the times. But the outfit I think is interesting. I like the coat. I like the hat, the kind of crazy Napoleonic weird thing, triangle hat. Very reminiscent of one of the hats in Bloodborne. This is definitely the guy that reminds people the most of Bloodborne, I would think. And he's a really, really good build too. Kind of like the witch doctor of the game. But I rushed to this bonfire, hit the bonfire up. There's a couple summon signs, nothing too, you know, groundbreaking there, nothing too new, as I try and practice my skip here coming up. There we go, got it first time. We cruise down here, a couple of guys praying again, next to the scimitar, and one of the things I found quite quickly was when I was doing the PvP, I didn't want to pick up any extra weapons, because extra weapons just meant you had to cycle more times through your items, which, when you're cycling through weapons during PvP, it can literally feel like it takes an eternity, even though it's just, you know, your heightened senses because you're fighting against somebody and your adrenaline's going. Here's a nice shortcut for the people looking for a fast way through this area. That right there is the creature on the roof transforming. Makes that massive screech and then it gets on with it. You might wonder what I'm doing here. I'm trying to get to the boss, so I can have a crack at him with this build to see what magic does. So I'm kind of speedrunning the entire beta to get to him. So I'm probably going to run past our friend over here. And he doesn't like the concept of that, but the damage he did is very small. Once again, if this was Bloodborne, it'd have probably took half my fucking bar. And of course, I think they can't get in this room. I guess I never checked, but whenever you pick up this soul, it's going to trigger the boss. If you look up to the roof, I don't think you can see any sign of the boss. It just kind of materializes. And here's the cutscene, which I'm going to skip. And then once again, we've got another fight against the Dancer of the Frigid Valley. So I'll give her a quick poke, do a bit of damage. Here's the grab. It got me again. Very sad to see me get hit by this move so frequently. Look at the damage as well. That is big damage for a grab. This explodes, so you need to get off it. So, I've already talked about this boss. I don't know if I explained that after this particular... This is the first session of recording. I did 3 sessions. But in those, it was just further experimentation and then fighting this boss with the different builds and killing it. Because I killed this boss with every class, and then I tried to kill this boss without healing, and I couldn't do it. I kept getting to the 3rd phase, and she would clip me. Really annoying. Really, really annoying. But the first bunch of phases, really fair, really fun, really diverse and interesting. You know, it's got that Bloodborne aspect to it where the boss seems to have a whole bunch of moves, so you spend a lot of time trying to figure out what it's going to do, so you never feel completely comfortable. Which is good because it means the boss is going to have legs. But that final phase, if you get a bad pattern, GG. Like, if she decides to do those multi-hit combos in a row, you don't get any time to punish. It really is not fun, which is a shit. That's the AoE. Don't know what I was doing there. Interesting. That is a big swing, so make sure you roll through that. A couple of pokes into that bottom, pulls out the sword, gets the weird AoE against me, and now she does the spin attack, which sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. I don't really know why. As long as you put a pillar between you and her, she can't go past it, unless you get very unlucky. A couple of quick hits there. Couple of quick pokes. That is the crazy explodey ground knife drag move. Here's a couple combos, bit of magic. Magic does decent damage. Here's the crazy double spin now. She's got 2 swords. Couple of pokes. The old asshole. And so far the boss is going decently. I'm out of flasks, I think, which is not so great, but we'll be fine. That was a stun, I think. Got a nice stun on her. There she goes dragging the sword again. Jump attack. That detection seems pretty fair, but she's also got a follow-up move now to punish punishers, which is very difficult to like that kind of move, but once you understand how it works, hopefully it doesn't catch you again. And technically we are in the 3rd phase now, but we're getting a really good pattern. So I get into a bit of a bad spot and start firing magic. And I think, yeah, I remember this. The funny thing there is if I'd not been so damn greedy, I could have rolled, because that is one of the easiest attacks to dodge, and anything would have killed that boss then. But it was a double KO, so I kept that in, because I thought that was quite interesting. And it does count as a win, which is nice, because certain times when a boss kills you, and you kill it, it takes it back, which I've never really understood. So I believe I'm going to try and invade. So this might be at the point where I've actually got some PlayStation Plus on this account. And you might be able to see my first invasion. Which, no doubt, is going to be getting bummed. So if you don't know, the invaders on this particular game have a deficit in HP, just like they did in Demon Souls. I don't know why. Phantoms don't get it when you summon those, I don't think. It's very confusing. They still haven't implemented friendly fire, which is the thing I would really like to see, so then you would actually have to be intelligent in your attack. But of course, then that would be unfair, wouldn't it, guys? Against the co-opers. How dare us? How dare we hope for something that stops people from just rushing you down with the most overpowered gear in the game. But I guess we'll see, as I use the great sword there and slash him. Another one of the holdovers from Dark Souls 2. Definitely a positive. Pleased to see that it exists. This is a cool one. This is a very Demon Souls-esque spell. It's a very thin magic missile, and it fires incredibly fast. But as you can see, guys, you can run around now freely and invade. You can even touch the bonfires without it messing with the invasions, I think, which is a really nice thing. Obviously, this might not be how it works in the main game, it's just how I experience it in this particular instance. That was me using the weapon art of the catalyst. It puts a magic buff on you, and it uses your mana to do so, and it's just me pressing the wrong buttons when I'm trying to do magic spells. Because I think on Bloodborne you press the left trigger to do things in that hand. I'll shoot the gun and what have you, so I've got that muscle memory that's fucking with me. Here's a trap, I didn't see it. Although, haven't I been here before? I think I've been here a dozen times. Or maybe I was hoping to do that. Which, look at that, that's so good. And look how fair that damage is. Some people were mentioning how that this network test, the difficulty was decreased massively. And I think the difficulty on it was fine. I think it was a nice level of comfortability. You know, you could die if you made mistakes, but at the same time you could survive if you recovered from them. And I think that that's as good as you're going to get, really. Unfortunately, the series itself has this elitism to it now, where everything has to be hard, everything has to be a struggle, and if you can't do it, you're just a pussy, basically, which seems to be the mentality a lot of people have. And I think it's kind of a sad mentality to have, because it's pushing away people who could be experiencing these great games, but because of certain folks' attitudes that they're spreading and proliferating online, people look at this game now like it's fucking Ninja Gaiden for the NES, where it's ridiculously difficult for the sake of being difficult, and that's really not the case. And I get into more discussions with people, and more discourse, because they say that, you know, Miyazaki wanted the game to be difficult, which is bullshit. He's never said that, not even once. All he said is he wanted it to be satisfying. He wanted people to feel like they'd overcome adversity. That is not saying he wanted it to be difficult for the sake of difficulty, and that's not what that was. And a lot of people, for some reason, have taken this to heart, this notion that, you know, he wants people to hate his game, and he doesn't. He just doesn't want the game to hold your hand. He wants you to earn it. Wow. Wow. GG, brother. And that's the thing, like, these games aren't hard. It's just by today's standard of games that basically play themselves, this game can kill you, and those games don't. You have to seek death in those games, whereas in this one, it is a plentiful bounty. It is a gift that you know, repeats itself frequently. But that doesn't make it a bad thing, and it doesn't make it difficult. It just makes it what it is, which is this experience that people are gravitating towards because games are so fucking easy. Like, that's all it is. It's a game that lets you make mistakes, and if you make those mistakes, you die. That's what games used to all be. Like, try playing Donkey Kong and making a mistake. Good luck. You know, try playing fucking Pac-Man and making a mistake. Good luck. Like, that's the foundation of what this genre, what this industry began as. It began as tests of skill, where mistakes were punished, and they were punished really harshly too. Obscenely harshly, because it was to make money. Whereas on the home console market, it changed. But all this game is doing is reminding us of where we came from. And is it eclectic? Is it specific? Is it at times kind of archaic? Definitely. But that's the charm. And it has absolutely nothing to do with difficulty. Because you can watch people destroy this game. You can watch people who are incredibly good at this game. And even then, they will die. They will get bullied, they'll get beat up, they'll have moments where things don't go their way, because it is designed to be a game that can punish you. And that's what makes it so replayable and so interesting to watch, because it's very different all the time. It's a game where, in a second, a situation can go badly, even if you know exactly how to recover and exactly what to do. But I don't think that that's difficulty. I think that's just what makes it so fascinating. The difficulty comes in from you, you know, your own personality, your own mentality. If you come up against an enemy and it kills you, and that's something to you that's like the ultimate insult, then of course you're going to think it's difficult. If you laugh it off and you're like, wow, that's crazy, you know, let's go back in there and have another go, maybe we'll learn how to fight him and get better, then it's not exactly difficult, is it? It's just, it killed you. But death is associated now with failure, and failure is associated with bad things. So we get this, it's arbitrarily difficult, it's this, it's that, it's that. just got kicked out of the servers, which is a sad moment, but just because you die and just because you have a tough time doesn't necessarily mean that something is as difficult as people are trying to tell you it is. And if you've never played this series because of fear of how challenging it is, please just put those fears aside and give it a go. It might not be for you. It might be something that you absolutely hate, and to you personally, it's insanely difficult. I have no doubt that there will be people who believe that and who feel that way, and that's fine. But you might be one of those people that like myself, avoided this game and these series because all I heard were negative things. All I heard was a game intentionally being dickish to fuck the player, and that's not what the game's about. And as much as we talk about difficulty with this series, this game, difficulty is the tip of an iceberg of an altogether more interesting discussion, but it never gets that far because people can't get past it. They can't get past this notion that this is the hardest game ever made, when if you feel that way, you really haven't been playing games or given other games enough of a taste to truly understand what difficulty is. Because this game is challenging, and that's a good thing. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.